All right. Honestly, what I didn't do backstage is also like give like Rhinehold props for actually showing up for mic check this time. So I appreciate it. I will shorten your suspension by 3 days. Uh, Anyways, if that red light is to believe, I believe we are live. Welcome everybody to a new exciting episode of Low Key on the We Libertarians Network. Here as we do our final episode of the media that has shaped us here on this Monday night. I am, of course, your host, Harry, aka the Moving Target. And, this episode is going to be neat as we go through because Friday night we went through we tried to get through a lot of our honorable mentions on the 3x3, and we'll finish it eventually on one of these Friday nights. Just we'll bring other people on too, because I'm sure like Niece and Paul and other friends of the show wants to bring in other media that shaped up, and even the Fake Ass Book Club wants to come in and talk about books that shaped them. So all right, this should be fun. But so we're getting ready to go wrap it up. So let me let's bring up the cast of characters into here, and as we get ready to set this final episode up, of course, because you guys know I don't fly solo. So we got Rhinehold. Rhinehold's fresh off his TDS all last week. He finally went out and touched some grass. Hopefully, how you doing, Rhinehold?
Oh, you don't think I'm still involved in it?
Okay.
So. Okay. That's what I was going to say. I think we should postpone tonight and start talking about some other things that came up that are important that we should talk about, right?
No.
Delay this another 6 months?
No.
All right. Well, we're going to do it tonight then.
Of course, I really do want to talk about the stuff that happened over the weekend, like stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, but no. And we also got Vincent over here. Him in the corner with the tissue box.
Whoa, sir! I used my sleeve like a man when I was crying, sir.
Oh, that's disgusting. That's awful. Get you some pocket squares. It's gross. I'm just gonna use my sleeve. Disgusting. Savage. Savagery. Oh man.
Yes, Ace, our honorable mentions are going the same way as the main boards did. Start off hot and then eventually put a space in there. We'll get to him eventually.
Yeah, we'll get to it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. And when we do, we're gonna continue talking more about Doctor Who and Torchwood. Just because.
I mean, you guys could have literally filled an hour of it if you guys wanted to.
How many seasons of Torchwood have you seen, Rhinehold?
I've seen every single episode of Torchwood, including the really bad Stars iterations.
It wasn't really bad. I saw what they were trying to do. It could have been really good, okay?
Could have been really good means it was really bad.
I saw what they were trying to do.
Rhinehold, you're talking to Harry here. He gives credit to things that don't deserve it.
All right.
They were trying to explain the immortality thing, and it just didn't.
It was bad. I don't know why they went down this road. I like the idea. Like it didn't need to be explained. I did like they hooked me on the idea, like something happened, and then Jack was the only one not immortal. That was neat.
Yeah.
But I they should have just kept it surface level. And then there's something else going on, right? Or there's something that's bending the, something else out of him. The whole creature on both sides of the planet thing was kind of stupid. It's like how many times in the whole Doctor Who lore are things living inside the Earth? It's honestly, the Earth is hollow because there's reptiles living in the middle of it. There's an spider egg in the middle of this thing.
Well, in the middle of the moon, the moon's an egg. So that.
Oh yeah, the moon's an egg, also an egg. Forgot about that.
But what I understand is that we know how Jack dies. We've seen that death.
Correct. Yeah.
So trying to make us think that he's going to die it doesn't work. We're not going to be scared of it.
That's true too. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even understand when they romanticize that part to it either. Too, like, oh, he could die now. I'm like, well, we know he can't. It messes up the time stream if it does. or just messes up that piece of lore that would just destroy everybody. They're not Disney. They're just not going to destroy.
One of the best. It would ruin one of the best endings of a Doctor Who era or season or what that whole third season. It would ruin the whole thing.
Yeah, it would be like that great ending of Return of the Jedi, and you just let Palpatine come back. It's just it's that bad. It is that bad. Okay, all right. Yeah.
Palpatine comes back in the form of Jar Jar Binks.
Honestly, I would have accepted that.
Would have been better.
I would have accepted that.
Somehow,
the
Palpatine has returned.
Darth Jar Jar. I would have been like, all right.
That was a rumor that could have been a thing at one point, but everybody hated him so bad they dropped it.
The word "somehow" always gets me in that. It's so stupid. Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah.
I mean, explain it maybe.
No, the healing coma. It's in crystals, and then the Sith knife thing. That was, oh my god.
Oh man,
I'm just violently angry, upsetting my stomach right now. Retelling this, either an audio only or novel, there was an explanation of the immortality explanation that was suitably convoluted for Doctor. Yes. In the what is it, Torchwood novels? I think it was it was convoluted and goofy, but it was still surface level. You can't even really explain it. The Torchwood novels were pretty neat too. It's John Barrowman, him and his sister writing. I appreciate it. I like it. But that's me. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. You guys could literally talk about Doctor Who and Torchwood. Like I could literally leave for the rest of the episode. You guys could just talk about that, and it would feel an episode.
The Adventures of Jane Smith, right? Oh, that was such a good series.
Oh yeah, Jane Smith is just so sad that she's gone. But
yeah. MCU done right. Before BBC got drunk on their Doctor Who money, and I don't know what happened. Either there was a gas leak, and that's why the writing was so good for a while, and they fixed the gas leak. We fixed the leak.
Yes, you have, Zikri. I did force you to show up.
What you at him? You at him?
Yes, I did.
Him. But no, it's like they fixed the gas leak and the rating just went downhill one day. It was just like, you know what? Fix the gas leak. They had great continuity between 3-4 different shows, a radio show, and everything just kind of like worked together with one crossover event being the season finale. And they stayed on budget, unlike the CW doing the exact same thing. Because they limited, like, oh no, big CGI monster that we won't have on screen for 10-15 seconds, okay? Then we're gonna go back to the actors. Ah, man, that's the one thing I did like about Torchwood. Like a lot of the monster stuff that was practical effects. What? You open the door, okay? You open the door. I'm just gonna go for it.
I didn't open the door.
That's what I liked about a lot of the Doctor Who's there's practical effects, and then you get the CW spending all their money CGI monster. Yeah, everyone loves CGI monster.
To be fair, my section's probably only gonna be about 7-8 minutes long, so we need to fill a little bit. It'd be good.
I'm not filling. I'm just
really. That's surprising. I definitely thought yours would be longer.
I just don't know how much I can talk about it. Because anyway, we'll get to it later.
Could you spoil every sci-fi show in existence? It's like, I got a great drinking game. We'll play one Friday night. Asimov did it every time.
Some of my old science fiction magazines, short stories.
You'd be like, "What's your favorite show?" This one. All right, let's go for it. All right, we'll probably do it with Gundam. Like, all right, let's do it.
All right, this is where the Asimov shows up here.
Different. This is a completely different genre. This won't work, Rhinehold. Asimov did that. What? Damn it!
The Simpsons did it.
God, I gotta go to find.
If you read this book here, read iRobot.
Obscure reference that Shar is really an Asimov character all along.
The whole time.
They used actual actors when they had to for the same doctor on screen and CGI. Yes, exactly. Saved a lot of money. Saved money. But if the CW CGI the crap out of this thing, it's gonna be great.
Run, Barry, run.
Yeah. God, it's just like every time I watched The Flash, it was just like, why are you burning money? Why is he running? You don't have to show this. Honestly, he runs so fast. You don't need to show the run scene. You could just go, he's there. Nope, gotta show him running.
That's what we used to do when we were kids. When we would play Star Trek, we would do the transporters. Mm-hmm. We'd just be in a spot and go, okay, we're transporting down, and we'd freeze, and then we'd run over somewhere else, and we'd go back in the exact same position and unfreeze. So you could have done something like that.
Yeah. We used to do in Boy Scouts. We used to do Deep Space Nine Star Trek. Loved being Odo. Like, I'm gonna go swing to a puddle, go through the door.
Yeah. He's one of my favorite actors too. That guy. You know how many Star Trek things he was in? He was on like 3 movies and the TV show, and playing all different characters. Not even the same character.
Why does CW's Flash keep coming up during this scene? I just want to forget. You never allowed me this. I'm sorry. It's a good example of where budgets go to die.
If you want revenge, all you have to do is the next time he does it, just bring up the cartoon that shall not be named or mentioned.
No. We're not talking about it. I'm not giving any hate views. I'm just been stepping over and walking in. The only of that content that I'm watching, if it doesn't have It's a Gundam next to it, I don't care. I think I even like hit a dislike on a Shoe on It video about it. I'm gonna go dislike, don't care. But don't care. Get out of here with this crap. Yeah. Anyway.
There's 90 shows that he hates, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't forget statues because Rhinehold talks about Blink half the episode. Nobody can forget CW's Flash. Oh my god.
That's fair. Yes, it's fair.
Yeah. If I get hit by a weeping angel and I get back in time, I'm gonna use my entire existence to make sure the CW Flash doesn't happen. What year is it? 1970. I know what I've got to do. Act like the Reverse Flash. It's me along, Barry.
It's me, Barry.
It's always been me. No. Ezekiel goes, oh no, I mean there are at least 90 cartoons that should not be named or mentioned. Yeah. Pretty much. It usually is, but we will always bring up CW. I think it's because there's some good stuff in the CW, which the bat I don't know why they kept going for I don't know why they spent that money for Batwoman anyways. There's so much stuff they could do with the Arrowverse, which is just the exact same copy and just kept going. Just did it.
Nah, bro. Barry needed a run for 7 seasons.
Gosh, just bird buddy. And granted, I liked Black Lightning, right? But I would liked it more as a procedural school drama with barely him using stuff like lightning once in a while to solve crimes. I would have been cool, would have been some school shing. It would have been awesome. Cheap as heck. Nah. He's got lightning powers. His daughter's got lightning powers. Bro, that lightning power is expensive. What are we doing?
I'm sitting here just when you look at Jessica Jones, she has strength, and we show it and she could jump sometimes, and we just cover that with camera angles.
Exactly.
And the villain has a power you can't see.
Yeah, when she looked up at the car, you could that's a forklift, but you don't see it. They got it correctly. Yeah. But yeah. All right. Hold on.
All right, Harry. You want to start with your initial D once you're done?
No, I'm last, sir. You're first.
Why am I have you last?
Balls, no, I'm last.
Why are you last?
Because it's my show, so I'm last.
It's my show.
So I'm last.
Fine. I agree, Zikri. So, the show I'm talking about is Your Lie in April. I recently did a rewatch of this with Zikri, producer Paul, and another one of our friends, KJ. And we actually watched it on April 1st and spent all of April 1st watching the series. It was definitely an experience to watch with other people because it was all their first times watching it and my second time watching it. The show is based around Arima, who was a child piano prodigy who became a prodigy because his mother, who was fantastic at the piano, taught him to play. But she started to get sick, and as she got more sick, she got more strict and abusive and forced him to learn piano in a manner to which people called him the human metronome, where he could play the score perfectly. But he only learned that way through physical, mental, and emotional abuse from his dying mother. And after she passed, he couldn't hear the sound of the piano anymore. So the thing he dedicated his whole life to up to that point, he just couldn't do anymore. Whenever he would go to play the piano, he would just hear the keys hitting, thudding, like he's underwater. And then the story takes place a couple years after that, where he's basically stopped piano entirely when his best friend, his childhood friend, she's his neighbor, asked him to go with her and their other male friend to meet this girl who wants to go on a date with the male friend because the male friend didn't want to go alone. So he meets this girl, and when he finds her name's Cowrie, and she's playing one of those keyboards that you like, basically the harmonica keyboards where you blow into it and it makes the sound. Then you play it.
Yeah.
And him watching her play, because she gets all these other kids, she gets a bunch of small elementary school kids around her to play with her, and it kind of causes him to start feeling about positive feelings about music again. And then she decided the reason they wanted to go to this specific location is because she was performing in a violin competition. And her performance, yes, that one, Secret. Her performance inspires Arima to start seeing the positive in the music again. And when she goes through the next part of the competition, she wants him to be her accompaniment on piano. So the narrative follows Arima and Kaori working together to get to a point where he can start to overcome his trauma and dealing with the things with his past for him to get back into loving piano again. So narratively, that just seems pretty straightforward, and it's very much one of those, hey, you're working through issues through music. And a lot of people see it as coming to terms with yourself through music. As we watched it, Kayla, one of the people we watched it with, one of the scenes in which he is experiencing his PTSD when he's playing the piano, she basically had to mute her mic because it was giving her a panic attack, because it was like a visual representation of how she feels when she has like a PTSD scenario. Like he's starting to play the piano and then he feels like he's drowning in the water and nobody can see him and nobody can hear him. And he's like seeing the specter of his mom saying that he's not good enough while he's playing this piano, and it's drowning him and pulling him down. And it really caused this moment of of her. She was basically like, yeah, my heart's beating out of my chest because this is giving me a panic attack because this feeling is too familiar. The main crux of the narrative, a lot of it. Thank you, KJ.
Baby Blue Eye says, generally the best visualization I've ever seen of what PTS moment represents. You could just comment back in, like, the instrument is the melodica.
Melodica.
Yeah, okay.
The melodica.
Yeah,
This melody. There is a lot of coming to terms with grief. Of understanding that some things you hold on to are not your fault. A lot of it, like, he blames himself for his mother's death. Like, when he was a kid, he was becoming God damn it, the Scout. He was kept trying to win and get better at these performances because he thought that if he was better at the piano, his mom would start getting better.
Mm.
And even though she's in the hospital and he's bringing all these certificates, he's hoping that as he wins, his mom will get better, but she doesn't. There's a lot of emotional moments that weigh heavy on the narrative. And when I first watched it, I was so invested that even though I knew how it was supposed to end, I didn't believe the ending. I thought it was like a group thing on the internet where everybody was like, oh, hey, this is a meme. We're going to make this a massive joke. Because I had gotten so invested that I couldn't see that ending coming to fruition.
Mm.
There are some absolutely heartbreaking moments that I'm not going to just straight up spoil, not at this very moment in time.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit after I get into why this is on the list. But besides all that stuff, the musical representation is very well done. It's all classical music. There are points where a person is playing the piano badly.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he starts having his PTSD, they showed everybody else listening to what he's playing,
mm-hmm.
and not what he's hearing. So the music sounds discordant and it doesn't sound right because he's playing too hard and it's going too fast and the music doesn't match what it's supposed to be, and it gives you that feeling that he's panicking or the music itself is wrong. And they use the music as a very well done compositions and versions of the classical versions of songs they use, both piano and on violin, but they use it to kind of bolster the emotional impact of what's going on. Watching people react to, like, oh my god, what is happening with him? Why is he playing like this? He started off so well, everything's what's happening, and watching him kind of have this breakdown while dealing with this anxiety and PTSD moments while on stage. The animation is beautiful. There are some points where there are a little bit of uncanniness because it was like the early 2000s and they had to use 3D animation for the hands for playing the piano because they wanted to get the fingerings correct by somebody who would play the piano. So it's the CGI is a little iffy on that part because they have to CGI the hands, but they go the extra mile of like the top of the piano where you lift to reveal the keys. If it's like black and reflective, they show the reflection of the CGI hands on the keys because they paid that close attention to detail of everything that they were doing.
It's expensive.
Yeah. The animation is very, very well done. It's very beautiful. The voice acting in both English and Japanese they're both very well done. They get a lot of the emotions across for both these characters. Well, not both these characters, but all the characters. it was just something that when I watched it, it was, I normally wouldn't watch something like that. I'm not big into music. I'm not like big into classical music anyway, or performances like that. But when I watched it, I got invested. I was invested in these characters. I invested in their arcs. I invested in what they were trying to do and the story they were telling. The reason it's on the list is because I watched this anime about 4 months after I broke up with my girlfriend. We were together for 4 years,
Mhm.
and for all but 3 months of that, we lived together. And despite all of the issues I had or we had in general, it still felt weird when one Monday we were happy and together, and the next Monday it was just me. And I was in a very weird emotional place for a while, trying to come to terms with what happened, why it happened, where it took me emotionally at that point. And when I watched this, it kind of recentered myself. It helped me refocus my mind and work through some of the issues I was having. Be it because of the characters who they were dealing with, all the things they were dealing with, or the fact that how they were trying to persevere through their issues or work through the things that they were dealing with. It helped me move forward. It helped me really get out of my head and start to come back to terms with who I am, because there was a while there where I just didn't feel like anything, because when a lot of your when a lot of your life for like 3 years at minimum, where it was seen as you and another person, and then it was just you, it was hard to find a point of on which I was a person again. And it sounds kind of ridiculous or silly, or however you want to see it, and that's just might just be self-deprecating, but it was just one of those things that it just helped me refocus and let out a lot of pent up emotion that I didn't know how to deal with. Being able to focus it on something that is not me and something that I could just fully invest into and become emotionally attached to. So I would suggest people should watch it. There are moments that are very hard to watch. The when the a lot of the arc is the rise of Aruma and the fall of another character, and watching the other characters fall is really hard to watch at points, and it becomes painful. There is an end of an episode that the episode ended and KJ just yelled, what is happening?" And I just said, let's just keep watching. I click through it before we could dwell on the ramifications and the emotional weight of that one scene. So if you are into it's kind of very dramatic, but it's also very powerful in the music that they use. As I said, the compositions are beautiful, and if anything, you could go it for the music, but the story in general, I feel like, is something that people should experience, because sometimes it will contextualize a lot of things. The fact that this character was mentally and physically abused to the point of having PTSD, and he's only 14. in the fact that somebody that young has to deal with such heavy consequences in their life. Exactly.
Zigri Part 2 goes, the fall of the other character is a genuine, deep-seated fear of mine, one that I do not share with others lightly.
Yeah. So I don't want to spoil what the fall is, but
okay.
I suggest you guys watch it and experience it. It was very heavy and very emotional aspect of it to watch. And I just think it's a good watch for anybody who wants to just be invested in something.
Did it spark any interest in you to like get into classical music, Eddie?
Not necessarily. It was much more of for me. It was much. Honestly, the thing that I got out of it was something that was said by producer Paul as a kind of a offhanded and kind of a nitpicky thing, which was that it was a story where people watch one character do a thing and it inspires a whole bunch of other people to do things. And for me, that encompasses a lot of what this whole series was. This series of media that shaped us was watching a single show and that one thing massively affecting who we are as a person. Like Rhinehold listened to one Meatloaf song and it changed his entire perspective on what music was in general. You had Trace's speech and that shaped your entire political viewpoint on things. How one moment, one thing can snowball into so many other things for other people.
So this series kind of encapsulates that, and so so this is to you, this is like the cornerstone of this whole project.
Exactly. What did Zikri say?
Zikri Part 2 goes, also, if I may, in regards to the show, as a show, I feel as though the CGI animation was amazing in the first half, but for some reason took a major hit in the second half. It was so damn good for the first few piano and violin playing, but just kind of died in the entire second half.
I mean, I could see that. I totally understand where you're coming from. But again, I did say that there are points where some of the CGI can be rough to look at because it's early CGI doing stuff.
Well,
but yeah.
Also, when did it come out?
Like 2006.
So they probably had money. Then the housing crisis happened, and the global recession is like, we ain't got no money.
We ain't got money for that. That's in April. I suggest you check it out if you're so inclined. If you're okay with knowing that you might be emotionally upset.
Came out in 16.
Sure it did. I don't even know.
Zikri is supposed to come out in 16. You goober. Also, Zikri, personal critique. We're still putting the 20s in front of everything, please.
Please.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that yet.
Exactly.
Baby Blue Eyes goes, to be fair, there were other focus points going on in the second half, other than the music bits.
Yeah. I don't know, Paul. I did not look at when it was released.
You know what?
I didn't look at when it was released. It came out.
It came out.
Whatever. It came out. It's fine.
Yeah. Baby Blue Eyes goes, even if you're not an anime person, I think the show is something everyone should expect at some point. Okay. Experience. Oh, sorry. Experience at some point. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I threw it on my watch list. My very deep watch list.
It's not like we were watching it and you were available at the time to watch it too.
I had other things that I needed to do. I had a case of wine and I wanted to watch
Not
Uncle
that.
from Another World.
Not that.
Not that. Yeah. And Initial D. Okay. All right. Let's see. I don't think I can watch any of the anime Vincent has talked about. I don't do well with emotions. I either undershow or overshow, and I'm not going to subject myself to the show he tortured Paul with. We all love torturing producer Paul. It is a pastime of ours.
That's a different one. Don't watch that.
Yeah,
This
other
one's
anime. Coward! All right. Ziki Part 2. I'm not an anime person, but to this day, expect your lion April to burst through my door any day now. Scholar goes, Harry's just afraid of a group sobbing. Not afraid of group sobbing. I think I'm probably. It's just the thing is like I never had a group sob. I don't know if I would cry in a group sob. I think because I'm one of those people that if I see someone else crying, I'd be like, well, I don't need to because someone else is doing it for me. You know. But that's how my brain processes thing. Big Blue goes, Paul and I muted our mics respectively when we broke. Oh, that's nice. That's good.
So yeah. I just happen to have the 3 people I watched it with in the chat with us. So
that's right.
So yeah, that's July and April, and that's why it's on the list for me, and I feel like it's one of those series that delegates his emotions.
Escalcha Plus goes, Harry delegates his emotions. Yes, I do, because I'm a crazy person. I'm wondering if the group forgore I was there during this showing, I left myself muted like 80% of the time for a reason.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it is a very emotionally charged thing. So I think that you should watch it, give it a chance, even if you're not big into anime. While there's still some goofy and lightheartedness to it, there's a lot of heavy, and it's very well done.
Yeah, like I said, it's on my list. It's on the bench. It's a deep bench, but it's on the bench. So you haven't picked up any. I was really hoping you pick up some classical music or like something afterwards. Like there's a couple songs from it I listen to still sometimes.
Literally the final song. For about 6 months after I watched it, the moment the violin comes into the final song, it gave me shivers down my spine.
Oh well.
So
hopefully it's easy to play. Maybe I'll break out my violin one day and just surprise everybody, play it for you.
Rhinehold, any thoughts?
Well, at first I was wondering if it was just because of the emotional space you were in, if something just kind of hit you a certain way, but it sounds like from the other people that have seen it that are commenting that it's pretty strong emotionally for not just people who are in a vulnerable spot at that point.
Right.
So that's something that I can see. I mean, I've seen some shows that have me pretty emotional too, especially given the state of where my life was at that time. But what holds up is if it's something that hits people even when they're not in that ready state, as it were.
Right.
Because Ezekiel is confused by the violin, he only knows it as a fiddle. Probably.
Well, the other question I have too: are you guys watching these like together
legally? Yeah, watching it legally.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Legally. It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
right. What I'm saying is that if you're watching it together like that, where you're all like in a Discord or something, why aren't you recording your reactions and then editing it and putting it up as video? And get a bunch of followers.
Because we're not worried about the reaction part of it. We're just enjoying it as a medium. We don't need content
that,
for that.
Other people would like to see your reactions to this type of, what you're watching. There's a lot of people who might have seen it already who want to see how you would react to it, or there's people who haven't seen it and they're like, oh, that got a strong reaction. I'd like to go see that now. Just saying. It's a big thing on YouTube right now. So
Yeah, but some people don't have to
Cash
take
in.
what they're doing and use it to try to make money or get famous. Sometimes people just want genuine experience with their friends and just do that thing.
So why are we broadcasting our conversations?
Oh, personally, honestly, like this is 100% completely different.
Okay.
Oh my god. Fucking.
It's not the same thing at all.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like, some people want to do it. Like, it's more
Mhm.
of a like we're choosing to do this now versus not choosing. Like, there's a lot of different things. Like, I do. Like, I don't want to share it with the general public. This is something that I have for myself. Like I've got like even like my daughter's birth. Like, I've got like there's some videos of stuff and there's some videos of not of stuff. And someone was like, "Why there's just some videos here?" It's like, oh, because we wanted to be so in that moment and just have that moment and not come back to it. We are not coming back to this moment here.
Yeah.
But
For
Joker
you
Fit
to
is like, I
remember,
don't
not
care.
for
I don't want to relive that moment. I want to leave, and I recorded and did everything of the moments I want to relive.
Yeah, but
right.
for me,
That's the thing. That's the thing too. I mean, people were recording videos of stuff where they go, but they're blocking themselves from the experience while they're doing it. They're not in the moment of experiencing it. If you're just got a camera running and you're watching something and you're getting an emotional reaction out of it, then you go back to edit it is when you do that. You're not impacting your reaction to your experience of it by doing it.
I'm just talking about like wanting to share or go back into that moment. Some people don't want to.
There's also two parts of it. One for me is that I like to gather my thoughts afterwards. Like I like to think through it, because that point I made that Paul brought up about the one person doing one thing, I didn't really think about that until afterwards. Didn't really let that focus in until afterwards. And also once the camera, like even if you say, "Hey, this is recording," people are more conscious of it recording and they'll force themselves to react more. Especially if you're just kind of going. But that's some people, not everybody does that. So anyway. So that's me. That's Your Lie in April. And watch it, have a good cry. It's sad. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
10 out of 10, big sad. All right, Rhinehold. You're up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just got a couple minutes, so I'll be good. Mine is a little unexpected. It's actually going to be a specific short story by Isaac Asimov. Not just Isaac Asimov or like stuff, but it's a specific short story. So to give you some background on this, when I was growing up, and I was learning to read, I was having problems with my vision. And it was a whole thing. And we finally got myself glasses so I could see the boards and I can read and stuff like that. But I never enjoyed reading. It was just like, this is what I have to do. You read to do this, you read to that, blah, blah, blah. So in school, they would make us, we were in, I think it was 4th grade. They're like, okay, you're going to write a book reports now, and you can write about any book you get. So we'd go out to the library, or at the school I was at, we had what was called a bookmobile that would come by every week to bring books from the central library in Morgan County. And so we'd go all pile in there and we'd look for a book to do, and read it. I'm trying to find a way to make it easy out. So I found this book of short stories. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I can read short stories a lot easier than I can a whole book, right? Just a bunch of little short stories. So I picked one up. It was Isaac Asimov short stories. And I'm reading them, a couple of good. I read one called The Last Question. And I'm sure that nobody here has probably ever read it or know anything about it. But it's an old short story by Isaac Asimov about humanity asking, how do we reverse entropy, basically? How do we stop everything from eventually dying to nothing? And they're asking, this question over and over again. And finally they get computers and they're asking the computer, and then they ask the more advanced computer, and then the future, it's thousands of years in the future. And the last person, I don't know how much I want to go into spoiling it, but it's probably not something that would be spoiled or anything like that. It's not that big of a deal on that. But the ending of it is that humanity's all gone, but the computer's still there, churning away with this last task in its computer banks to try to answer this question, because it would always answer insufficient information, right? So it spent eons just getting information, gathering information, putting it together, and finally became to the conclusion that it could answer the question, that it could reverse entropy. And then instead of, it didn't have nobody to explain it to, so the computer said, okay, I need to be able to explain this computer. I need to explain the question, the answer to the question to somebody. So he basically says, let there be light, and creates humanity again. That broke my mind when I read it at that age for a variety of reasons. The first one is just the concept of, that first, the twist was really good. And the idea of entropy is something that, I was learning at that time. Mm-hmm. And I always had I used to wake up in panic attacks. And to be honest with you, I still do from time to time, because at some point when I was younger, and I don't know where, I got a glimpse of what eternity would look like. And it puts me into a panic mode, like nothing else could possibly do. So between that and the entropy and everything, it just kind of broke me. And I still remember that moment to this day. And after that point, I started devouring books. I started with Isaac Asimov and just started reading everything I get my hands on. Then I tried other science fiction stuff, and I was reading all of that. I got book clubs. I was getting books delivered. Mm-hmm. I got into Douglas Adams. I got into Terry Pratchett, all that stuff when I was just in middle school because of that one story. So, and I learned how to write. I started writing short stories. I got a short story that was supposed to be published in the local school newspaper, and then it got pulled because it was too controversial. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole thing. But I always intended to send off some short stories to Isaac Asimov Science Fiction Magazine, which of course I immediately got a subscription to and just kept getting until I was until they went out of business, basically, and stopped doing it. So that's kind of how that one story just took the trajectory of my life and went off on this huge different direction, and made me the devourer of. And from that point forward, I wanted to learn everything I could learn and know everything I could know. Right. Instead of just getting by through life and hanging out and doing this stuff and that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it really changed who I was as a person from that moment, more than anything else ever has. That's it.
Yeah, I'm sure all Rhinehold's books. Ace goes, Rhinehold's on the list of authors banned from schools. Yes, I'm sure DeSantis has banned all of Rhinehold's books.
That's why I can't get anything sold. I don't have any sales because they're all banned.
I like Escalges when he's talking about seeing eternity. It's like the time knife. Yeah, we've all seen it. Right?
It is the time knife. It's kind of how it was. It's kind of how it is for me. It's just like I saw the time knife, and it's just like, okay.
The time knife. Yeah. We see
that.
Yeah, everybody knows the time
came
knife.
Out. I was like, I know what you're saying. I get it. We've all seen it.
All right, so you kind of answered you answered the question like, why was this this? So this thing was basically your jumpstart into basically like a lot of like that little piece of you that makes you want to know things, like just and pick up things.
Yeah, it's just.
He's like, fine, I'll ask. What's the time knife, Rhinehold?
Do you not know, or is that just a meme?
I think he really doesn't know. He doesn't know.
There's a TV show, and it probably should be on my honorable mentions. But there's a TV show out there called The Good Place. Mm-hmm. If you have not seen The Good Place, stop what you're doing. Go watch The Good Place.
The Good Place.
It's 4 seasons. It has a beginning and an end, and it'll rock your world. And it's hilarious.
Yep. You'll chew through the 3 seasons really quickly, and you'll slow down on the 4th because you know it's ending.
That's what I did. I didn't
finish
watch,
the stream and then go do it
for 3 years. For 3 years, I didn't watch that 4th season, and I finally watched it about 6 months ago because I said I have to do it.
No, don't send him the clip. He doesn't see anything.
I just sent him the clip.
No. Ruined things.
No, it's just great. It's like he sees time folding in on itself, blah blah blah, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the time map. We've all seen it." Just dismisses him.
Yeah.
Oh, Maya Rudolph in that. Oh, she's so good.
Yeah,
I love me some Maya Rudolph.
Yeah. So basically, you're saying that this story, the last question was what led you to be the person you are.
It completely changed everything that was at the time to becoming more of a, because at that moment I was just, I had to do schoolwork. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I had to do this, and I just wanted to play and not even think about anything. And after that, I couldn't stop thinking about stuff. Seriously, it's like that moment your brain just goes pop and you go, oh, like you reach the other, like in a video game when you reach the other next level or something like that, and you're like, oh, okay, here we're at. This is all this stuff over here is beneath me now. This is where I'm at here. It's kind of like that.
Interesting. All right. Well.
Oh my God.
What?
Pop. Saying what you pop, you just don't stop. So stupid.
Yeah, don't anybody ruin that show. For Zekri. Nobody ruin it.
Yeah, don't ruin it. Don't ruin it for yourself.
That clip's not going to ruin anything, but don't ruin that show. Everybody who's seen it knows what I mean.
Yeah, we all know what you mean. God.
Jack, go Bortles.
All right, here. So we talk about your car anime.
Anyway, so like the show I'm going to bring up my final on my 3x3 is Initial D. So I bring this thing up. A lot of people dismiss Initial D as just another like run of the mill generic sports anime, but this, to me, this anime is the anime that I go back to. This is the show I go back to every day. Like every day I'm probably watching a clip at AMD, listening music from this thing. So this thing really is like, it's in my bones. All right. I've kind of like it's one, like I enjoyed racing and I enjoy cars. I'm a car guy, so like I enjoy a lot of the stuff, and having an anime in that kind of that world really appealed to me. So the story of Initial D is the stories of these Japanese racers on the mountain passes doing these Japanese togue racing. And one day, like this, basically like the generic version of these rich kids in their cars come to a poor area. I'm being generic and like awful with it, but yeah, basically they coming and racing on their town because they want to basically go through all the towns in Japan and be declared the best racers in the northern prefecture. So that in order to do that, they go to all these different mountains and challenge people to race the local racers. So they just choose this one because this one mountain pass should be easy. Because there's, like I said, there's a bunch of poor kids that have declared themselves the fastest on the mountain. And one night while they were practicing, they found out the fastest person on the mountain is a guy who delivers tofu every day at 2 a.m. And they quickly found out they're not the fastest, and they were trying to challenge him. So this whole thing kicks off just for this kid who basically learned how to drive fast because his dad made him deliver tofu from the tofu shop in the middle of the town, drive up this mountain to the resort, and then drive back. And he wanted to get done as fast as possible, so he learned how to drive fast and get faster and faster and faster and faster because he just wanted to get home fast. That's it. It wasn't into racing. He just wanted to get home and found the fastest line, the fastest, quickest line. And it's only when these street racers were on the mountain, and they were racing down the mountain, and he was just trying to get home, that they discover like this kid is like that. But this phantasmal tale kicks off, and they challenge him to a race. He ends up he beats them, and it kicks a fire inside of him that he didn't know he had, for racing and racing people, and wanted to get faster and faster. The whole the first arc happens all over his summer break of school, where people come to his mountain to challenge him for a race. He barely leaves, goes to other people's mountains, but it's like everyone just comes to his, and then everyone's just challenging, from every low level racer to like the top of the hill, and they're bringing which the car that he used, like a lot of the cars that they mentioned in the car they give off by the model types. So like a lot of times you see me say like FD, AE86, the SW20. These are just model types of car, like the chassis number inside the VIN numbers of cars. It's a neat way to tell like what a car is, because if you say Mazda RX-7, well, there's like 3 different gen types. So are you talking about the FA, FBE, the FC, or the FD? Even my RX-8, its model type is FE. That's why I named her Fiona FE. That's her name. It's the it's her chassis code.
Would it be iron though?
So I thought about doing that, but I appreciate. But I like Fiona. I like Fiona.
That's fair.
I thought about doing iron, but no. I stuck with Fiona. It's better this way. Better this way. And like in ED6, or you've some like, I could go to the different chassis codes, but unless you're into cars, you're not, it's like, and then it gave them also in the show like a different language. Even like the main character did, since he wasn't a car person, they would say these different model codes, and they were looking at him as like a different foreign language tool, which people, fans of the show, pick up that language. So you can even say these type of model types, and people are like, oh, you have watched Initial D. So you understand, you comment on these model types. And the show went on for it spawns on for different state, which I call like stages, because they're trying to get it keeping the racing theme. The second one, the second stage is really starts hitting you into like the gut feels. Like the first one is just that boyhood dream of becoming the best racing racer in the racing hero, and over summer break. You beat the top guy, you beat everyone. That's and then the second one, they go after your feels. He gets a girlfriend in the first season, and then ends up losing her in the second. And then also inside the second, while he's doing all of that, we also like his engine blows. Beating another top guy that came onto the mountain, beating the newest generation of Evo. It's a like I said, it's just like Your Lie in April brought a tear to my eye still to this day. Watching the 8.6 engine explode and pushing a rod through the block, and when his dad goes to pick him up, he's just in the car crying, and it's just trying to get his dad to like, I need to fix my car. She didn't ask for this. We need to get her going. He was just like, she cannot be fixed. There's a hole in the block. And he was just sitting there crying, and he's seeing his son that way. It was neat to watch that story of that father and son bond over like because he realizing that he has brought his passion of racing to his son. You don't get a lot of this in the anime, but you do get this in the manga. If you pick up the manga for this one, what they like to do is drop little tidbits of like racing knowledge and tuning and everything inside the anime. So you'll pick up different things like how to hit different apex line versus a rising cornering during 90 degrees versus or a descending corners. We'll talk about like how to hit different apex, different conditions, because these are street races. Talking about like even in the third stage, his dad was saying that, hey, you're going to lose this race. He's faster than you, but just be careful. Don't take the inside lane after a certain point, because at the fall, there'll be leaves on the road. Just and sure enough, yep, he goes right there. But of course, like the whole like the freaking anime, like Takubi, like the main character has has that plot armor. That plot armor hard. But it's I think the best part about the I pronounce it both ways to gaslight people. Just the best way. The thing of what that gets me with this anime, like it's like it brought out, it really like spoke to me with my passion of cars and the different types of cars and different type of engine. It's the main reason like I got into the rotary motors. It's like I saw, like I always knew what a rotary was, but it's like this just seemed like some weird spinning Dorito. But like, you know, like the passion from watching the Rotary Brothers and the whole show was like, okay, I love this. I'm getting me a rotary. This is effing awesome. But like I've owned Z cars, like for the 300ZX, love that thing. But the main thing that got me with this one is around the end of it. It's the showcasing of when you get to the end of the show, these bonds that these people have made with each other throughout these summers and growing up, that they find that they still have it. They still have these friendships. They still talk to each other, and they find that they working together, they've all been able to accomplish their goals and their dreams, and they're willing to sacrifice everything for those dreams and work together for it. It was, while it is some parts dated in age, but to me, it will always be this pristine, beautiful thing. People will hate on it, and I just try to like, you know what? That's your thing. You know, this is mine, and I just enjoy it, and I like I think I listened to some of it this weekend while working on my car. You know, it's that thing that's sitting there always in the background for me. I can go over like the different races and can talk about like exactly how different things move. It just even influences about the way I even drive on the road, because like, you know, like if you do a lot of spirited driving, when you don't, like take some pressure off your transmission, just pump the brakes and slow down. So yeah.
So what exactly about it, besides it being the cars and stuff, would you say influenced you the most?
To me, it's like I said, it's the bonds that everyone builds through it. In the first part, you get Takumi, who was very estranged with his father, and having to building that relationship up with him, while because his father started out as this alcoholic drunk who really wasn't like, we just wake up, make tofu, and get drunk, and then watching his son out of nowhere grab that passion for racing, he comes himself out of that and starts helping his son and allowing him to progress into his dream, because he realized like he's not going to be he sacrificed his dream to raise his kid, and he's watching that kid take that dream and just run off with it. But everyone else is Kesuke, one of the Road Brothers, taking his dream of wanting to become a race car driver, but he's got to get this experience at best. But he's not into karting; he's doing street racing. Rai Takahashi, he wants to come up with this ultimate goal or theory of driving. That idea of there is a ultimate driving mode, and that's just what I like. That's why I always call when I watch somebody drive, I was like, hey, you're driving more than your instinct than you are paying attention to the road and actually what the heck is going on. You know, I was like, well, that guy came nowhere. No, he has showed signs that he was being aggressive, being a jackass. You decided to ignore that and let your elephant go free, you know, and rampage around, and decided to be a jackass around this other guy. So we're in a situation because you allow this to disturb you. So it influences. Ryosuke Takahashi's theories influences my mind, even the way I drive. So it is. I gotta put it. It is just one of those things to me that. It is, and unless you are like you drive, it was hard for me to tell people, but if you are a driver or you love the anime, it allows that common communication with somebody. So outside of that realm, most people just look at you goofy, unless you're into racing, So, and it also brought my love of a different style of racing. Like I felt out of like NASCAR for a long time. I got dismantled with that and a lot of different racing styles, and and I got into sports car racing because I like that. But I really appreciate the Togue style like that from its initial D style. So yeah. It is just that. It's just a passion for me. Like it drives everything for me. It gets my motor going in the motoring. It is, I don't know, like it's my reason to get to do things like and it's like when I tell people, it's like, well, what do you want to do when you retire? Do you want this? You want that? It's like, no, I just want a car and somewhere to drive it. That's all I want. That's all I want. That's all I want. I want a sports car. I want somewhere to drive it safely. That's it. That's all I want. That's all I want. Everything else, like, do you want? No, I just want this. It was like, you want I don't want an RV. I don't want to do that. I just want to drive. That could be fun go karting. It's just fun. I like the orchestration of stringing together straightaways, corners, and trying to figure out best lines, also round best lines around with somebody else to be able to like work with someone. It's that beauty there, but in anime form for me. Yeah. So, yeah.
Any thoughts, Rhinehold?
I get the racing aspect. I mean, I used to race when I was a kid, and I did a lot of racing. I worked at for Stefan Johansson. I used to work for him at his go-kart track and learned a lot about racing there. But yeah, I mean, it's something that speaks to you like that. I get the why it would mean so much to you. A story like that does.
Mm-hmm.
The camaraderie and the everybody, how they feel about each other. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's an old story, but it's still so like there's a whole bunch of stories where they have that premise, but
Mm-hmm.
when it's premised around something you feel strongly about, it's going to hit harder, right? That's what I would think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly that. I mean, the from my perspective, it's like that's why the reason you like Initial D is why I understand why people like One Piece. The camaraderie of the crew and how they get along together and how they connect together. That's why I totally understand where you're coming from. And with it being cars, something you're already passionate about, I can see it. That's why it drew you more in than other things.
Yeah.
And like, while you just said when you were explaining it for me, I'm just like, you're speaking alien language, but that's just not for me, and I totally understand why it is for you.
Mm-hmm. It's I don't think you need to be a car person or a racing person to get this story. Like you could easily like watch this thing because they will, which Takumi, like in the first, like the main character in the first series, like he's a complete novice to anything. So they're always like explaining to him, like, hey, this is what this is. This is what a turbocharger does. This is the difference between a dual, just single turbine. This is what supercharging does. This is, there's a reason why we've done it this way. This is what an LSD is. It's,
Harry, do you agree with Ace? The Initial D is Fast and Furious as an anime.
Initial D is Fast and Furious as anime, fast cars, and family. No, Initial D is far superior to Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious is a good series. I will give it that. But it is not Initial D. No. There is actually is a live action Initial D movie. You can find that on Netflix. It's decent. It's a movie. They condense 2 seasons into a movie. So they took 2 seasons with an hour. Like, oh.
What happened to your narrative?
I have watched it 8 times, but
God damn it.
I was like, oh man, this time was just when he tells him like, "What's wrong with your car?" I was like, "What? Your suspension? You know, it's like comparing my chocolate suspension to your shit suspension." It's it's a lot of fun. But like I said, gotta like cars. Gotta like cars.
Oh my god! I just love how that's like the end point. Like I said, I like cars. That's it. That's it. That's all you need to say. It just sums it all up.
The Initial D movie is far superior to Dragon Ball Evolution. At least this movie gets the cars correct. Okay, the cars are correct. The stages are kind of correct. They just condensed the story. Okay, it's not like Takumi showed up in a Ferrari. No, there's none of that crap. He shows up in the proper Toyota. Okay, the proper RX-7's there, a proper Evo. It's not, Dragon Ball Evolution was like, oh, I got my dad's slow car. Oh, is that a DB9? Oh, crap like that. Sorry.
Oh, God.
Just here, talk to yourself for a second. I can bounce real quick.
Okay. So, Rhinehold, what did you think of the whole project now that it's mostly done?
No, I thought it was interesting to just get a variety of different opinions on things. That what I've always said before is, and feel very strongly about, is that every person is different. Every person is an individual with different experiences. We may share some experiences, we may share some views on things, but we're all shaped by a whole variety of different things. And to understand that, to get that out of this, I think is an important thing that I'd like to see people get right. So when people talk about culture and this and that and how society should work, and it's just, you can't generalize anything when it comes to people, because there's too many variables. There's too many different things that people experience that makes them somewhat unique to each other. No matter how much they have similar, there's always going to be something that's a little bit different based off of those experiences. And this, I think, is a perfect example of that, how we all had different things that shaped us in different ways and in different methods and put us down different paths to where we are today.
Right. I totally agree with that. And while things might have similar base ideas, the executions of it can be dramatically different to how it turns out. I think for me, this series more feels like to show how much media can mean to people. Because a lot of times people see it as like disposable, or they think of it only as entertainment. Or especially when it comes to stuff like anime, where a lot of people just don't think of it as a proper medium of things. They see it as like, oh, it's kids' things, it's a cartoon. Right? But for me,
and that's the thing. It's all art, and
exactly.
Art is supposed to try to evoke an emotion out of somebody, or a thought process, and that's it. All art does that, even if it's just slapstick comedy. It's evoking a feeling of humor. It's evoking, a good positive feeling or something like that. It may not be what the highbrow people call art, but it's still art, in my opinion. So
yeah,
anything that can actually affect you in a way that is beyond just your normal day, or and make you think about things, or make you laugh about something, or make you cry about something, make you feel something, makes you think something. That's art, and that's the purpose of it. And when that happens for a person who does that artwork, because I've drawn and I've written and I play music, so I have those three things that I do. If any of those things ever affect anybody in that way, I feel like I've accomplished something at that point. Whether I make $1 billion or nothing, that's my reward at that point.
Right. I feel like this project just really shows, the wide variety of things that are out there, that even the most silly slapstick or jokey thing from Konosuba to the more serious of Your Lie in April to the more sci-fi and scientific like Steins Gate and all these other different things can all come together to make people see things completely different. That there are a lot of things that people just write off as one thing or the other, or they don't take the time to really look at it or examine it and see what happens. And as I said, the reason Having Your Light in April lasts for me is really that viewpoint of one person made a show, or they made an idea that got turned into a show or a manga or a comic or a story, and that story ended up affecting us in a way that they probably would have never imagined was going to affect us when they wrote it. Your thoughts on the project, Harry?
It's neat that because a lot of the times when I talk about like a lot of my political views or how I see things, I always feel like there's so much more to things, and I think this project allowed me to go like, okay, these are the building blocks of the things that I got there, and it's just simple media, because like I could sit here and go with like different books, but there's no way in heck someone's going to swap out some of like the Thomas Sowell books I've read, unless you're into Thomas Sowell, you're not going to read these, or some of the other books, especially like when I was talking about Animorphs, it's like, yeah, a lot of the, some of the decision making and the way I do different things comes from Animorphs as well. But like no one's gonna, especially like right now, like in this year and age, like I said, I've read those Animorphs books back. It is dated. Unless you're like in that space, it's like you have to understand this is the 90s. Okay, all right. That they're FaceTiming. That's supposed to be alien tech. Okay. You're not supposed to have that, okay? But calm down. But it's. I also like to like bringing up like a lot of, especially some of the goofy anime that I do enjoy, like this stuff. Like it doesn't hold a candle to a lot of the different stuff that is like. I think I get upset with most of the anime community because they will nitpick the shit out of so much anime that they will not enjoy a story and find out what's going on. Yeah, I can be given up like, oh, you just give so much credit. It's like, yeah, because everyone, I'm the other side of the pendulum swing because you nitpick when watching anime because 5 pixels are out of place. I'm done. Turn it off. That ticks me off. Makes me just go like, you know what? Screw it. I just I can't hang with you. You are spoiled. You are spoiled rotten. Okay. I used to get my anime because I got a bootleg from Anime Convention. We are not the same. Go F yourself. Go F yourself. You clearly haven't watched an anime series at 144p and a quarter of a screen. Broken up into 7 parts, and then and have to know Spanish,
to deal with the Spanish subtitles.
There's like 5 episodes of Naruto I watched in Spanish.
Yeah, I totally understand that, but it's just showing that things can be enjoyed, because there are some times that people kind of lose the joy in it. Where they're so
100%.
focused on comparing things or trying to find the perfection of whatever.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of how things are.
I mean, that was the problem with a lot of the serious reviewers of movies, right? Movie reviewers, where they would be like, well, this didn't speak to blah, blah, blah. And they would be so focused on trying to find something that elevated. They didn't just sit back and did you enjoy the movie? That's the thing. Is it?
Yeah.
If you're always looking at the flaws or the things you would have done different or things that's not done in normal high art movies.
Yeah. I mean, you can even see that now.
Point.
It's like, all right, so like go back to Star Wars. Let's beat Star Wars up for a second. Like Rian Johnson, right? All right. And he's like all about averting expectations, right? The problem is that he did that to like the main like the basically like the main thing. This is the lifeblood of the series, right? You can't do that. people need their expectations, so the kids if he was given something like that, like an offshoot, a different story, Chef fucking kiss, chef kiss. You know, I think exerting my expectations in a Han Solo movie would have been amazing. You know, like you know, but given like leadway to do different things like that, but not Maine, and you know, it's that's
or another great example of what Rhinehold's talking about right now is if you look at the reviews for the Super Mario Brothers movie that just came out. Like I haven't seen it yet. I'm not going to give an opinion either way for me, but the critics are giving it like a 50% because it's like, well, the plot is sloppy and it's kind of boring and it's the same things over and over again. And then the fans are like, yo, they put the video game stuff on the movie screen and it isn't terrible. Yes, give me all of it.
I think the Rotten Tomatoes had it at like 92 or something percent.
I think the critic was 53 and the fan was 94.
I will be watching the when it comes to when I can get it at home and I can get a dub of Chris Pratt's voice off and Rogan. I want Seth Rogen's off. That's not my Donkey Kong. Hashtag not my Donkey Kong. I liked everything about what was going on when I saw the clips. I just hate the voice. It's like, God, I can't. Why? Because I hate Seth Rogen.
But yeah, that's my point. Is that like there are some things that people just enjoy it for what it is, and there's some things that that people won't because they are looking at it as a critical eye. There's some things that, or they're just taking it at a different value level than what everybody else is looking at.
It's fine. I've got Mario at home.
Puts on a let's play of Super Mario Sunshine.
Mario at home. Honestly, that's better. Yeah. No. Well, it was the other thing I also with this whole series. I also like enjoying seeing everybody else's things. See where else the bus is coming from. I think the honorable mentions, I think we're having a little bit more fun with it. I think because my entire honorable mention is just because the door was left open for outside of anime because I really wanted to, you know, like when I first came up with the thing, I'm like, this is just like the different animes that I enjoyed and wanted to show people, like showcase that. It was the original idea. And now with the honorable mentions, because Rhinehold to me, like kicked the door open. It's like, it doesn't have to be anime. And I'm like, well, let's go with Torchwood. Like, but now that I actually can see my freaking list, the other one, like, God.
Oh, we'll come back to it. Remember, we're coming back.
I've got my other things on the list. You can't wait for this.
We'll come back. It's not my fault you left your list at home.
I'm sitting right here. Yeah, good old One Piece, G Gundam, Yami no Isui's on here, Torchwood, Animorphs. Yeah.
But yeah, seeing everybody else's perspective on things. Like for yours, like because I was never really into Gundam, seeing all the different Gundam series and how they're dramatically different from one another and they're connected. And even now, the fact that I watched the Gundam series that you haven't watched yet, which makes it even more hilarious.
Yeah.
On top of all of that.
It's a different storytelling. Like even like someone like, well, this is what it is. It's like, yeah, but it's got a different theme. It's you know, you can smell the gun smoke and gear oil in it. It gives it a different feel.
And then when you look at Rhinehold stuff of some of the things I've never even heard of before, some people that I knew of, but I didn't really know a lot about. Like I knew of Aaron Sorkin, but I didn't know a lot about him, stuff like that. So it's more of it's definitely can tell the different spheres that we run in of entertainment and media, and seeing how each of those things might not, even though they might not touch, or they might touch a little bit, they're so uniquely different. And even if none of us watched anything the other one said, it's always good. It's one of those things of at least you're aware of what it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, before this thing gets too long of the truth, we need to end it because, some of us got to get up early in the morning and get things done. Save the world. Okay. All right. You gotta go out, run. No, that's
sure. I just know you're gonna go and cuddle your rotary. It's fine.
Yeah, honestly, like the one video I've been watching, which is really good, is because now that Monster Tricks doesn't need it anymore, for like the racing secrets they've let out, is the how to build the Arenasis hybrid motors are really neat. Like you need these different parts, and you can make the it's just amazing. It's freaking amazing. Like I'm just trying to buy another RX-8 that's not rusted to bits or destroyed the bits right now, which freaking sucks. So. I'm on the quest to buy another car. I like cars. But yeah, so thank you everyone. If you get this deep into an episode, thank you. You're a true fan, especially if you can watch the whole series. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if we're going to do a series like this again or do something else, but we don't really have anything like that on the drawing board right now. But that doesn't mean we won't. I'm just saying there's just nothing on the board. But thank you for listening. This is a live recording that happened on 9. That starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. This is when we like to record this thing, and we do the Fridays. Which we used to do 4 hours. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm done. I'm done. Tight 2, 8 to 10. Tight 2. That's what we're doing now. Not going to midnight unless that just happens naturally. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that. Unless it happens naturally, and I ain't doing it. I'm done. I'm not doing it. It's just not happening. But thank you for listening. Please come watch us live on twitch.tv/we are as the letter R libertarians, and also get us on YouTube at youtube.com/we are libertarians. Come watch us live. If you see us, you hear us reading out these comments for people hanging out with the show. These aren't super chats. They're not paying us money in bits, except producer Paul sends some bits in. Thanks for the bit, producer Paul. But we just have conversations with the people. We want to hang out. We just want you to love us and come hang out. We appreciate you guys who download these episodes. I'm always shocked every time your leader tells me hey, 100 people downloaded the episode. I'm like, wow, 100 missed clicks. Thanks. But no, you guys are actually loving it because it's being consistent. So thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, but just would like some, if you can, give us some feedback. If you, tell us what you think, or tell us any directions you want us to go to, or if you want us to trash some other stuff, So, but yeah. First, all right. First off, Ace, push rods are stupid. Push rods won't make themselves. No. See, push rods are dumb. Push rods are dumb just for knuckle dragging V8s. Okay, that's what push rods are for.
How to keep Harry up for 2 more hours? Keep saying wrong facts about cars.
Push rod. Next thing you go carbureted. God damn, carb. There's your carb right here.
I have one on my 70 Le Mans.
Maybe we should do a car show so Brian will fix his car. We'll do that on Fridays. Or face my bills for them.
I could put up a camera while working on it and stuff.
Yeah, see.
Put it out.
Yeah, I gotta switch out the transmission in my other Subaru. So yeah, we turn into a car show. Let's do yeah. We'll do we'll just mod cars.
Cool. Yeah. I'm glad to know that I won't be needed for these episodes anymore.
So I was working on my Mustang this weekend. Got it. So.
Nice. All right, so Vincent's not coming in, so we're looking for replacements. So email me. Bus left cars, rotaries preferred. All right. Thanks, everybody. Say good night, everybody.
Have a good one. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the series.
See everybody soon.